Hello, I'm Beau Cruz,
I'm Neftali Rangel.
and we are presenting Behaviorism by B.F. Skinner. All right, a little picture of him to show who he is as a human, and B.F. Skinner by
Okay, so B.F. Skinner, his biography. A little about him. B.F. actually stands for Burroughs Frederick Skinner. He was born on March 20th, 1904, and he grew up in Pennsylvania in that name. He died August 18th of 1990. He was an American psychologist who believed that all human actions were the direct result of conditioning. He graduated from Harvard on 1931 and with a PhD in psychology. He later married Yvonne Eve Blue in 1936 and he had two daughters. Skinner wrote several books in his lifetime, one of them being The Technology of Teaching in 1968. And he also received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Psychological Association in 1990.
All right, behaviorism. B.F. Skinner is considered the father of behaviorism. His behaviorist theory of learning is that a person is first exposed to a stimulus which elicits a response, and the response is reinforced. Basically, he theorized that positive reinforcement pushes a behavior to occur over and over again, while negative reinforcement drives an organism away from the reaction. So, for example, with my students, I set a goal with them Monday through Thursday. If they act right and don't have any consequences for their behavior, they'll receive a treat that Friday. Or another one, negative reinforcement, or maybe a negative punishment, depending how you categorize it. You scold the student for not doing the homework properly or making sure it's turned in on time, or they didn't turn the homework in on time. So B.F. Skinner's main theory about understanding behaviors through causes of action and the consequences center around operant conditioning.
So, what is operant conditioning? Operant conditioning is based on B.F. Skinner, and operant conditioning is a form of learning in which the motivation for a behavior happens after the behavior is demonstrated. So, here we have the Skinner box. So, what they did is they put a little mouse inside the box, and the if they push the green button, then they would receive food. And if they push the red button, they would receive a small electrical shock. And so obviously the animal wanting food, they would keep pushing the green button and we were conditioning him to do the correct thing so they can get food instead of, getting shocked so they wouldn't get the opposite.
All right, four types of operant conditioning. Positive reinforcers, the addition of a reward. The negative reinforcers are removal of punishment. Positive punishers are addition of a punishment, as well as negative punishers are removal of reward. So another one, like she was saying, we'll press a lever for food. Obviously, the green button could obviously be a positive reinforcer, which is giving them the cheese. Or the negative punisher, the removal of the cheese, but they get a shock as a result.
And then here's a little picture, a diagram of what it kind of looks like. A student of child facing the wall whenever they have done something unpleasant or removing something that the student really likes or wants. Whenever they have given bad behavior, some reinforcements are whenever you give, for example, that they have a gold star, giving them a gold star whenever they did something correct or right, and then there we have avoiding something unpleasant when the student is just like, no, I don't want any of that.
All right, some of the vocabulary that we really emphasize on would be the stimuli. Anything present in the environment which a subject or learner can feel through the senses, and a response, a change in the behavior in response to a stimulus. For example, the negative reinforcer is the response to that. The acquisition, part of operant conditioning, which an operant response is followed by a reinforcer, thereby increasing the rate at which the response occurs. Then we have the contingent reinforcement, a situation in which a certain response must be made before a reinforcer is obtained. And finally, which is our punishment, which any action or event that decreases the likelihood of a response being repeated.
We have a little quote right here, which is, a failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying. And we have our video.
Can pigeons read? This one gives every indication, because he's been taught to distinguish between two words and to behave appropriately. He's learned his different response to each sign by being rewarded with food. So the bird isn't acting independently. Its behavior is shaped by controlling its environment. The first task was to isolate an individual piece of behavior and see how that could be changed. Skinner did this by keeping individual pigeons at about 3/4 of their normal weight, so that the birds were always hungry, and food could be used as an automatic reward. The pigeon was studied in a uniform box, one it quickly grew used to. One piece of behavior, pecking a coloured disc, was measured on a graph. The pigeon learned that pecking the disc produced a reward. Then the behavior of pecking could be studied in relation to how often that reward was offered, or in Skinner's terms, what was the schedule of reinforcement.
The main thing is what we call schedules of reinforcement. Reinforcement is what the layman calls reward, and you can schedule it so that a reward occurs every now and then when a pigeon does something. We usually use a response with a pigeon pecking a little disc, a little spot in the wall, and you can reinforce with food, but you don't reinforce every time. Perhaps every 10th time, or perhaps only once every minute or something like that. There are a very large number of schedules, and they have their special effects. And there is a good example of how you can move from the pigeon to the human case, because one of the schedules which is very effective with rats or pigeons is what we call the variable ratio schedule, and that is at the heart of all gambling devices, and has a...
That was a little video. And you can go back and finish it up here in operant conditioning and free will. And then okay, and then here are our references, and thank you for listening. We have a little video at the end. We're not going to show it, but it's just a little a more fun way to show you operant conditioning and to show Big Bang Theory. But we have our handout. Okay. So this is B.F. Skinner and behaviorism.
And basically in the handout, it talks about how to apply it in a classroom, giving stickers or treats, or offering praise for when assignments are done correctly. For example, good job on today's work, you did very good. And then obviously the positive and negative grades based on test results. And then also has the definition for behaviorism, operant conditioning as well. And then another quote that we found, which is that's all teaching is, arranging contingencies which bring changes in behavior, which obviously correlates a lot in teaching. And then at the top, we have a little bit of biography.
Yeah. So that was our presentation on B.F. Skinner, behaviorism, and
thank you for watching.
Thank you.